So I've had this old Streaker fun kart forever. It's a lot like the Manco little red go-kart we have, but it's just a little bit shorter. It's a factory live axle go-kart, which is pretty sweet, but the motor still sets off to the side like a one-wheel peel. Has a 62 sprocket, a drum brake, the band style brake. Someone's welded up a cobbled up roll cage that they built out of probably trampoline parts. We're going to cut the roll cage off. I may extend it a little bit to make it more comfortable. I can sit in it and ride it perfectly fine. Actually, the brakes work, the throttle, you know, the rod's still hooked up. So it'd be really easy to slap like a Predator on this and it'd be a quick little throw together go-kart. But I've had this thing sitting out back. I bought this from the junkyard for $40, I believe, and it came with 2 Briggs engines that are still over there under the shelf. So I've had this electric motor off of the Super Scoot sitting over there forever, and all the wiring harnesses, the charger and everything for it. Well, I pulled off these little aluminum wheels today, and lo and behold, it has a 3/4 inch shaft, and I have sprockets that fits this shaft perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make our electric go-kart. The only thing is, of course, it has these 2 bolt downs on each side, these 2 mounts. Well, the motor bolts this way. That's the way it was on the actual mobility scooter, and this is a neutral lockout setup, so if you want it to free roll, you can pull that up. So of course I'm going to leave that and make a bracket for it, you know, so this will be handy, you know, if you ever need to roll it, if your batteries die or whatever. But since this axle is only keyed at the end, I'm going to have to mount this engine kind of right in this area, and I want enough shaft. I basically want this sprocket to set all the way. They've got a little milled shaft right there, a little edge for it to slide against, and then I'll put a lock collar on the outside. So basically the engine's going to have to set right in this area. Only problem is I don't know how this is geared. This is a 4,000 RPM electric engine with a differential. So basically it's a open diff, so you can, you know, turn around on the mobility scooter. What I'm thinking about doing, okay, so I had a couple different ways. I could leave it as an open diff and pull this axle off, put a new Go Power Sports axle, but cut it in 2 in the center and put 2 axle bearings side by side holding each individual axle. Then I could run a sprocket coming off this side, a sprocket coming off the opposite side, and basically, you know, I would have a differential go-kart that is electric. That may be the way I do it, just to be a little bit different instead of just live axling it. If I live axle it, then that means I have to basically, and also we have to, you know, build up a setup so I can adjust the chain tension, of course. But to do a live axle, what I would do is leave the sprocket over there, and I would make a bracket that slides on this and bolts down so this cannot spin. And basically what that'll do is force the differential to push power out this side. And that would work fine as well, or I could open it up and weld up the gears just like you do a rear end if you're trying to, you know, like weld up a Miata rear end to make it a posi track, or, you know, a locked axle differential. But I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should do twin axles on it, and it's going to have 2 lawnmower size batteries, and I'm hoping to be able to set those back here side by side, and the whole wiring harness and everything. It's a complete plug and play setup. The only thing is rigging up the pedal, because this engine does have reverse, and that's what's pretty sweet. So I don't know, I thought about a couple different things, having 2 pedals, a reverse pedal and a forward pedal. But the way the throttle works on it, it's kind of a pivoting system. Like the wheelchair, you held it like this throttle this way, rocking the little I can't even think of the name of what it's called. Anyways, when you push it this way, it's forward. When you pulled it this way, it was reverse. So that's another thing. I thought about mounting that on the steering wheel, and you'd have a thumb throttle, but I don't want it to be janky. I want it to be like it was made like this. So I don't know, give me your input. I'm going to slide, the seat will come back about where this roll cage is, and I'm going to need every bit of the room I can get. So that's what we're going to do, is put it back all the way, and we might mount the engine kind of back here and make it slide, you know, back and forth to tension the chain.
Where are you going to put your batteries if you do that?
We can probably put them right in this area. So let me know what you guys would like to see. Would you like a live axle just like a normal go-kart, or the differential. I'm afraid the differential probably isn't ever going to kick posi track, you know, so both tires will probably never spin. But this is electric engine, so it's not going to, it produces a ton of torque. If you think of what a mobility scooter will do, it'll carry a 400-pound person around with no problem, and they'll run like 10 mile an hour. So we're going to gear it, so we're going to try to get 20 mile an hour out of it. I think that would be fun because it'll be so low geared, you know, like so much torque, we'll be able to climb anything in this little thing. So it'll be a perfect little yard cart for kids. We did think about strapping a 212 Predator on a little bit bigger frame, like a 2-seater frame, and making a hybrid go-kart. So basically we was going to run like half a tank of gas, or not even, like a third of a tank of gas, drive like a mile away from home until we run out of gas, me and Lonnie both in the go-kart, and then when we run out of gas, we was going to drive all the way back home with the hybrid setup. So I thought that would be pretty sweet, and the pedal would work both for the gas engine. The same gas pedal would work for the gas engine as well as electric engine, but we might do that as phase 2 to this. I don't know. I want to get a higher output electric engine, like maybe a golf cart size engine motor, sorry. But because this one's so small, this is just what we have laying around. We got the whole wiring harness, it'll be perfect on this little thing. So let me know, live axle or dual axles running a differential type setup, and how you think I should do the throttle. Because here's the throttle, it's a potentiometer. That's what I was trying to think of earlier. So basically when you push it this way, it's forward and reverse. And I actually have to wire this, hook everything up to make sure I got it on there right, because when we pull, you know, it's been a year since I pulled all that off. That's the whole charging system, everything. So you'll just be able to plug up like a PC style cable, the little 3-prong power port, and charge the whole go-kart right off that. And of course I'm going to try to order me some waterproof boxes to house everything. You do not want to get any of this wet, or it's going to ruin the whole entire thing. So that's another thing. This is only a go-kart to be.
You're going to have to be in a plastic box.
Yeah, I'm going to buy, they make waterproof wiring boxes that's completely sealed with O-rings and everything. So that's probably what I'm going to do, is buy one of those, put all the electronics in it, and still you do not want to get this wet either way. So this will just be a yard cart for dry conditions, but it'll be cool to have electric go-kart. We did think about putting that on a mini bike, but it's so wide, and I pulled the electric engine off the differential, and it's a really small spline shaft. I'd have to get something machined. It's just impossible right now. So if we find a really good electric motor, I want to run a 48 volt setup. This is 24, so you'd run two batteries in series or parallel to push out 24 volts, and you know, a 48 volt one, we'd have to have 4 batteries, you know, stacking them together. So it'd be cool to mess with that on a mini bike, I think. Coleman.
The Coleman is put on hold right now though, right?
Yeah, may do the dual front tires, but I want to do suspension on both of them. So I either need one of two things. I need another set of the forks. We have a set of forks sitting beside my PC right there for
nasty trash can.
That was actually supposed to be for the camo bike, to put it back together. It's been sitting outside with no carb on it, and the red forks, which puts the bike at a stupid angle, so it's pretty much unrideable. So I thought about putting it back together and doing a military theme. We got a Gatling gun exhaust for it and stuff. Done a military theme just for like something to ride through the 4th of July parade. I thought would be cool. Yeah. Or we could do like a red, white, and blue theme to it, you know, and paint the frame and stuff. But that will get put together, but I only have one set of forks. So I'm going to try to get in touch with Coleman this week and try to get them to send me 2 extra set of forks. And if they can, then we'll do 2 front tires on it with 2 sets of forks. So both tires can move independently, but they steer together. So that means if you turn them, this one can kind of push in the suspension, because you want the tires to kind of lay like that. You don't want them, I mean, if they're rigid, they're just going to turn, you know, and it's going to be a mess. I think it wouldn't be worth it. So it's on hold right now. Brand new Coleman bike sitting over there, never had oil or gas in it. We don't know what we're going to do. So if we can get those forks, we'll do that. Yes, all the suggestions, you know, don't get mad if we don't take your suggestion, because I'm a real complicated person in this brain and I like stuff. Like with this, I want this go-kart. It's just a stupid project with electric motor, but I want it to look like it came from the factory with electric engine. That's what I take pride in my builds, some of them. So you know, I don't want anything janky on it. You know, that's why I didn't want to do the thumb throttle. I want a pedal, so I might do 2 pedals, a reverse pedal and a forward pedal, and then have the brake pedal on the opposite side. That'd be fine, I think. So on to the dirt bike that we're making a trike. Of course, this is the size axle we're going to go with right now. I think it's a 38. I can't remember. I didn't measure it. And we're out of axles. We're waiting on a shipment from Go Power Sports to restock us on parts we use a lot. But that's basically how it'll work. It'll set just like that. Well, actually, it'll set more like that. The bar right there is actually going to be connected to our axle hangers. I'm going to go grab those. I have to weld these together tomorrow. And if you guys like these videos, we can put a couple of these out a week because they're super simple to make. Just showing you what we're doing, taking opinions, eating breads and desserts, and get all fat and sassy. So I basically tapered down the edge, beveled the edge on these two pieces, and I cut this out of some 1/4 inch thick plate. So basically it looks like a Tin Man's hat sitting on top of it. This will be welded together on both sides. I've beveled both sides of it. So once that's welded together, it will set around the axle, and then this will weld to the end of the tubing, the square tubing that's going to cross. Then I'll put some plate over it and kind of box in both sides and put a ridge down the center, because this is a 25 horsepower motorcycle, to beef it up. And I'll put some ears on this. So basically it'll be like that, you know, holding the axle. Then I'm going to build, and I'm copying this design. I didn't come up with this design. I found someone that did a pit bike like this, and it was genius. So why not take from what he did and maybe change a few things on the way. So those will be on both sides, so the wheel will be supported actually right behind it, so that should be perfect. Then, you know, the sprocket, we don't have to do nothing but align it, and of course sprocket will be about right there. What's cool is the CR80 uses 420 chain, so I'm gonna have Go Power Sports send me some DID chain, which is motocross chain, slap a good run of DID on it, and I'll still be able to use the factory adjustments, because I'm going to weld 1/4 inch thick ears that come up, and basically this piece of metal will slide and be guided by the bottom of this swing arm. That gives me about 2.5 inches of adjustability, and I can buy a motocross chain later that's an O-ring chain, which I probably will. But of course, if we can get it from Go Power Sports, we're going to. So only thing other, I need to build a bracket that comes up and holds a brake caliper. Probably run a 150cc, and it should hook up to the existing line on the dirt bike. So we shouldn't have to upgrade no lines. Actually, I may have to get like a 4-inch longer line, but that should be no problem. Go Power Sports actually is selling now hydraulic brake lines for 150s in all different sizes. And I actually asked them to send me a handful of each size, because we got to be stocked up here to make these videos. It sucks having to stop a build to wait on one little part. It drives me crazy. I can't build stuff like I used to. I used to enjoy builds more than I do now, but now it's 2 videos a week and I have to make them entertaining. To me, I'm really picky with my videos, super picky. The Texas video just came out because I sat down, was so aggravated, all the footage I had, didn't know what I was going to do. I had like writer's block. So I quit on it, because when I'm like that, I need to walk away from it. And I did, and I went this morning. I think I edited a pretty good video up. I was just showing how we're doing this, you know. And this is only 14 gauge square 1-inch tubing. My brother's getting me some 1/8 inch stuff. Should be plenty strong. It's not taking a massive amount of abuse. You know, the swing arm, it's suspension, so for the most part, this should be a worry-free build. Then the plans are to ride this, you know, make a good video, maybe play with the gearing. I don't know how it's going. You know, I'm running a 62, actually I'm running a 54 maybe. That might be a 60, who knows. I want to put a new reed valve in this, and it's $125 for the V-Force reed valve. That would make this bike come alive. I want to do that before we take this axle off, or before we take the engine off. But basically the way I'm making this is completely modular. I throw this wheel in a box, the brake's still on it, the sprocket's still on it. Sorry for my flip-flops. I'm in beach mode, but
wishing we were there.
Yeah. So I mean, it's super awesome, because when I'm done with this, within 30 minutes you can have a dirt bike or a trike. That is awesome. And I think people should build this for their dirt bike. Think of I mean, trikes suck. I think trikes suck. I hate them. But I mean, it's a trike. But when you got this much power, you'll be able to rev it up, dump the clutch, you know, spin it around. You'll have plenty of power. Like our Predator, our 196cc we had on our Coleman trike wasn't enough. Now the 18 horse is almost too much. Like, it wants to grip and just take off with you. But we're about to address that whole bike very soon. So the next thing after we do this, we're going to pull this engine off, and we got a 2003 Phantom Nemesis frame, race kart frame, and we're putting this engine on a race kart frame and making it super clean and super awesome. What's going to be cool about that is we're going to buy the exhaust. That's an expensive build right there. Out of my pocket, I got to spend like $700 to do that. The exhaust alone is $450 because I do not want to cut this exhaust up and not be able to put the bike back together. I want it to be a modular system. I think that'd be awesome because I can throw this under my house. This dirt bike frame is out of the way, and you know, then slap the motor back on it later on if we find a better engine or a wrecked dirt bike. You know, so it'll be cool to have a modular, I think, dirt bike setup. And we may try to run a Predator on this with the piston straight up. I've had a lot of people ask me about that. I'm sure it'll run for a while. I don't know how long, so we'll throw a Predator on this frame if we can squeeze it in there and ride it like that. I think that'd be pretty awesome. Let me know what you think about this, about the Coleman doing the full 2 suspensions on each wheel. I think that would be a big factor on that bike because, like I said, when you turn, I want it to kind of, you know, be able to compress the inner tire. You know, if you're going around this car, I want it to be able to...
Well, I think we kind of figured that out a little on the sidecar thing.
Sidecar. Yeah, well, the sidecar...
All the tires come up on it and stuff.
The sidecar is good and bad at the same time. If you have 2 people on the bike and if you have 3 people on the sidecar, it works awesome because 2 people can handle it. If it had dual shocks or a lot stiffer shock, it would have been a lot better. It wants to, when you turn left, it naturally, the bike wants to fall in. Right, you have no problem. It turns awesome. With nobody on the sidecar, both left is always your problem because it wants to collapse that shock down. I thought about making me a beam that I can pull the shock out and bolt a rigid, and because I never really fully rode the thing with a rigid sidecar, it'd be cool to build a little beam out, some square tubing and some pieces of pipe with some bushings pressed in it that's the same length as a shock, just to swap it out to see and then play around with it. But that bike, you know, we won't keep that forever, but it's a super fun little mini bike. I can't wait to pull the pins, pull the bolts and pull the sidecar off it and just ride it as a 2-seater mini bike.
Yeah. And
I actually rode me and Braxton, which you'll see him more and more on the channel. He's 13, right?
Yeah. And
he weighs like 120, I think. I think that's right. Yeah, 120. He rode on the back last night. And the bad thing about that is, you know, you have no one over here, so when you go to turn right, it picks up the front tire. So you need 3 people. The bike was built for 3 people to be on it, really. One person can ride it fine because you can pick up that tire and play with it and stuff, but we're going to have it on the channel soon. We're going to get it, ride it, pull the sidecar off, ride the actual bike, and play around with it. But Becca's burning up. It's steamy out here. This garage is hot.
I'm about to start huffing and puffing.
One other thing, we're meeting with this guy. He wants to be called the Deuce Man. It's a weird name, but he messes with Manco Deuces is why. This guy has these Manco Deuces. If you don't know what they are, look them up. They're awesome buggies. We're getting one from him. I'm about to do a full build with a Lifan V-twin 688cc motor engine. So that'll be on the channel soon. The dude's super smart on like engineering and stuff, and he's brought a lot of stuff to my attention, like how to build things, and it's pretty awesome meeting people like this. He has an AC unit that's a 3-ton that he said he would either sell it for super cheap to us or give it to us to install AC to the garage. That would be awesome because we'd be able to run a duct.
Aren't you jumping on that? I haven't even heard about that
I just found out about it tonight, actually. But he says he's going to check in the storage building. He's pretty sure he kept it because he runs AC units like that on... no, he's just pack rat, I think. Probably why. But we can mount it beside the compressor. The duct would come across the ceiling and have vents pointing out, probably like 3 vents in here and have vents in there as well. That would be awesome. That would be amazing because it's not loud, number one. It would be quite enough to run cameras. With it on. The wall unit's just too loud. Yeah, guys, let me know what you think of these little behind the scenes videos of my thinking. Huh?
I said informational. Yeah,
and we need a welding table. Y'all need to contact some welding table companies. Tell them to send us one. I want to weld this stuff clamped down so it don't bow any. And I'm going to have to clamp it down to something in here. And the motorcycle lift being painted as well as diamond plate textured, it's not that great for doing this stuff. But yeah, a lot of new stuff. Everlast welder is awesome. We're about to be welding with it tomorrow, and I'm excited because I've only got to weld a couple little things with it. So you'll be seeing that a lot in videos. Shout out to Everlast, and thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next one. We'll do, what's today, Monday? We'll do another one Thursday. We love you guys. We thank you for supporting us and our families, and we'll see you on the next one Thursday. And we got a video coming out Wednesday.